At the top of the garden, I let Ziggy off his lead and watched as he bounded down the step onto the beach. I followed, the wind whistling in my ears, the sea roaring. I'd never been to Cornwall before, let alone the Roseland Peninsula, but from what I've seen of it so far, it's beautiful. As I stand breathing in the fresh sea air, I feel guilty for my earlier thoughts of boredom. We're lucky to be having this holiday. Ziggy bounced toward the shore, his tongue lolling, his ears fanned back, his legs kicking up sand. I picked my way across the beach, stepping over stringly wet seaweed and rock pools, feeling exposed. The only one here. Thank goodness I have Ziggy with me. He had been Katie's. She had bought him as a puppy, despite everyone advising her against it. Katie isn't known for being responsible, but headstrong as always, she refused to listen and brought the puppy home in her studio flat in the center of Bath. She called him Yippee and treated him like a baby. But as he started to grow, so did her doubts. Until eventually, sick of not being able to stay out late or sleep over at Mae's houses, she told Jamie that she was going to take Ziggy to the dog's home. Jamie was increased. I never seen him so angry with her. She usually got him wrapped around her dainty French manicured little finger. We can't have the dog, I had said when he got home that evening and told me all about it, knowing that's what he was angling for. We live in the flat too, Jay. The garden, which I injected, belonged to Evelyn, not us. She might let us use it. He looked hopeful. I made a noise through my teeth. She might, but I feel bad about asking her. It's not fair to put her in that position. I'm sure she wouldn't really like a dog shitting out of her grass and would be too polite to say. I don't know why, he said in a voice that wouldn't have been out of place on a sulky teenager. It's not like anyone would have noticed. Her garden's a bloody eyesore. Off to mow the grass, but she won't hear of it. He had his fist clenched by his side, and it looked like he was going to cry. I love the fact he was a big softy at heart. I see him try to hide his tears at animal programs on the TV. I can't let her give the dog away, he said in a small voice, running his hands through his mop of unruly hair. That dog's become a member of this family. I went to him and put my arms around his waist. Oh, Jay. He was nearly a foot taller than me, and he had to lean over quite a way to rest his head on my shoulder. Of course I gave in. We were all smitten with the dog. So Zippy, or Ziggy as Jamie renamed him, came to live with us. I can't let the poor dog be called Zippy, he laughed. But really, it was just because he always entertained the idea of naming a pet after his hero, David Bowie. That was over 2 years ago now, and neither of us can imagine our lives without him. Jamie. My heart aches for him as I stroll along the beach. I miss trying to keep pace with his long strides, the feel of his warm hand in mine. I try to stop being so jumpy, so paranoid, and enjoy what's left of this holiday. I know it would make Jamie so happy if I went to his mother for help, and part of me would love to ask Sylvia about my symptoms and whether I am suffering from PTSD, but I know I never can. It will turn into a therapy session, and she might extract more from me than I'm ready to give. I stopped to look at the hideaway. At the full-length windows and the round towers, Jamie's in there, laying in bed feeling awful. I need to make sure he's okay. I called Ziggy, who's prancing about the edge of the shore, splashing about in the cold water, and we head back toward the house. Just as we're walking up the stone steps, I feel a presence and glancing up to see Jim standing over me, a stern look on his face. I start, my heart pounding. Christ, I say indistinctly, cradling my broken arm. You gave me a fright. Who are you? He growls in a strong local accent. He has binoculars around his neck and his weather face is drawn up in annoyance. He's leaning on a cane, flat cap pulled over his eyes, and I notice there's a bald spot on the felt collar of his tweed jacket. Me? I can feel myself bristling, bloody cheek. I'm Libby. I'm staying at the hideaway for the week with my husband Jamie. I don't remember Mr. Haywood mentioning you were coming to stay. This place has been empty for a few months. Building work has been going on, he said, scolding at me. This isn't your property. It belongs to Philip and Tierra. I swallowed down a sigh. I know, I began impatiently. I wonder if he is, as my mom would say, a Simon short of a picnic. Why are you here? He pushes the front of his cap back and assesses me with startling blue eyes. I want to tell him to get lost and mind his business, but no, I can't be so rude. I remind myself of my teacher's training to remain calm and professional at all times, to not lose control. So I smile politely as I feel him on the house swap. They need to be near the hospital for their daughter. His pale eyes narrow. Daughter? They don't have a daughter. Ah! I stand up straighter, gripping Ziggy's lead. He's straining, trying to get away. What do you mean? Of course they have a daughter. They don't have children. He leans on his cane. Philip has never mentioned anything about you staying here. He was here a month or so ago, overseeing the building work. Why didn't he tell me then? He's never done anything like this before. I look out for his place, when he's away. He begins pacing as though talking to himself. His aggression is making me nervous. Feel free to ring him, I say. It's all above board. It's okay. It was only agreed last week. He stops and glances at me, and I realize in that moment that he probably doesn't even have Philip's numbers. He's just a local busybody who can't keep his nose out. He mumbles something under his breath and turns his back on me to walk away. Oh, I call as he about to step onto my grass. Could you please start walking through our garden? Just while we're staying here. We leave on Saturday. Thanks. I really appreciate it. He swirls around and stares at me, his eyes closed. It's not your garden, so I'll do what I like. I take orders from Mr. Haywood, not you. And he waves his cane at me threateningly. His anger makes me recoil. I open my mouth to say something else, but he stalks off. Okay, my bad, y'all. A lot of shit just popped off. It's alright. I open my mouth to say something, but he stalks off. I can't help but stick my fingers up as he is retreating back at his retreating back. My heart thuds in anger as I watch him cross the garden and disappear around the side of the house. What an arshole. I mutter under my breath. I run after him and tell him if he trespasses on our property again, I'll call the police. But then I remind myself that he's right. This isn't my property. It's Philip and Tiara's house. If they're happy for him to wander around their grounds, then what can I do? I go to fan Jamie. You'll never guess what, I exclaim as I run into the master bedroom. I just had to start off with that Jim. He says that Haywoods don't have a daughter. Why would he say that? I stop at the sight of my husband, prostrate in bed. He's deadly pale, a sheen of sweat coating his face and body. The room smells musty of sweat and vomit. Jamie, my stomach lunches. I'll hurry over to the bed. Jamie! I shake him, and his eyes blink open. Lips. He croaks. His mouth sounds dry and raspy. His lips are cracked. There's an orange string under the bed. Get rid of it. His voice grows weak as his eyes flitter shut. I stare at him in horror, at the blue veins that crisscross his eyelids, and his waxy pallor. It's okay, I soothe, stroking back his hair. It's going to be alright, don't worry. I concentrate on keeping calm so that I can remember my first aid training. Like the day little Miss Maya Prince collapsed at school with suspected meningitis, or when Finlay Ward crashed headfirst into a tree and knocked himself out. I can tell my husband needs urgent medical care, but I don't know where the nearest hospital is. And worse, even if I did, I can't drive him there. I flee downstairs to get my mobile from the kitchen in the island. Without even thinking, I dial 999. I have no choice. Jamie's clammy skin coupled with his delirium means he's probably dangerously dehydrated from the stomach bug. I'm surprised that the ambulance only takes 15 minutes to arrive. Jamie is stretched into it and I jump in. As the door slams shut, I notice Jim hovering in the bushes near the driveway, staring at us with those pale, hostile eyes. That means you need to get up out of this house. They ain't got no daughter. Is he who he says he is? Well, I mean, he is who he says he is, but then he might not be who he says he is. We don't know. Chapter 10. I hold Jamie's hand all the way to the hospital, murmuring words of comfort while the paramedics attach him to a drip and he retches into a cardboard bowl. The journey takes about 20 minutes and I begin to feel sick myself as the ambulance serves around bends and down narrow lanes. Then I sit shell-shocked in the waiting room of the hospital as Jamie is wheeled away, dread growing in the pit of my stomach with every passing minute. Logically, I know that Jamie will be okay, that it's just a stomach bug, or maybe food poisoning. But I heard horror stories of dehydration leading to failing kidneys and worse, in rare cases death. Before I can push it away, the image of life without him flashes through my mind. Both of my parents died before I even hit 20. I have no grandparents, aunts or uncles. Jamie is my only family, my everything. I couldn't bear it if he was taken away from me too. Claustrophobic, that's what Jamie's mom calls it. She called me doing it once over the wedding with my what if it rains? I asked, what if I faint at the altar? What if I'm ill on the day? She reprimanded me in front of Jamie and her daughters as if speaking to a child, and I bristled. I felt one of my pupils was being ticked off. Then, when she noticed that my flesh was flushed with embarrassment, she gently told me it was because of my upbringing, a symptom of both my parents dying when I was still young. She tried to psychoanalyze me then, but I pulled the drawbridge up, as though I was a castle that needed protecting. I sit on a hard plastic chair, kneading a tissue with my good hand while trying to bite back my panic, to hold back the tears. The waiting room is packed, an air of anticipation seeming to hang over everyone. Evident in their worried faces, the ringing hands, the jiggling legs. Nurses scuttle in and out with fouls pressed against their chests. Jamie will be fine, I assure myself. But I can't get the image of his pale, sweaty face and his delirious talk of bags hidden under the bed from my mind. Eventually, a young woman with a slightly harassed expression approaches me. Her small hips clopping on the tilted floor. Her brow is creased and her heart beats faster as she gets closer. I notice a child sticker on her cardigan, aligned with the words, "I'm brave" underneath. Miss Hall only nod and stand up to shake her proper hand. "I'm Dr. Carter. Your husband is going to be fine. We run some tests and he has E. coli, which has led to dehydration. Food poisoning? I remember the sausages they eaten last night. I hadn't been able to stomach them after finding those dead animals in the basement. He ate sandwiches last night for tea. Do you think they caused it?" Dr. Carter has an attractive face with a nut brown hair piled into a messy top knot and thin wire frame glasses that give her an intimidating, I'm over here making up words again, appearance, although she looks about my age. "Possibly," she says, "contaminated meat, or can I see him?" Dr. Carter's smile lights up her face. She looks like she could be fun outside the hospital. "Somebody I'd like to go for a drink with." "Of course," she says, touching my shoulder lightly, and I follow her into the private room. Jamie is sitting up in bed, a tube snake from his arm to the drip at his side. He still looks pale, but more like his normal self. Orange string bags, forgot it. "You gave me a fright," I say, trying to hug him, which proves awkward with my arm in a sling and him attached to the drip. He kisses the top of my head. "Sorry about that," he says into my hair. "By Christ, I never felt so ill in my life." Dr. Carter is at my side. "We're going to keep him overnight, just to observe him, but he should be fine to go home in the morning." I stare at her, my mouth falling open. Overnight? My whole body grows cold at the thought of spending the night alone in that huge, secluded house. I meet Jamie's eyes. He looks worried. "It's okay, Doc," he says, sitting up straighter and trying his best to look less ill. "I'm feeling fine now. I've always had the constitution of a fox. Or is it a horse?" He grins at me over her shoulder, then switches his gaze back to hers. "My fault for not drinking enough water. Surely I can be allowed home." She shakes her head, taking a chart from the end of his bed and scribbling something onto it. "Sorry, Jamie, but you can't. You need lots of fluids. Is there a problem?" She looks at me with her clear eyes. She seems so calm, so together. Professional like I was a couple of months ago. I can see myself through her eyes. A jumpy, nervy woman in her late 20s who's so clingy and neurotic that she can't spend the night away from her husband. I swallow. "Hell yeah, it's a problem." That's not what she said, but that's what I would have said. "Hell yeah. I don't think I'd be at the hospital myself. Can I stay at the hospital?" I swallow. No problem," I say, plastering a smile onto my face. "Great." She puts her glasses farther up her nose and returns the chart to Jamie's bed before breezing off, already thinking about her next patient. Jamie squeezes my hands. "Are you sure, Lips?" I don't have much choice. I notice a flash of concern come across his face and added hurriedly, "I'm a big girl, Jay. I lived alone before. I met you. It never bothered me staying that flat when you were away with work, and I had Ziggy with me. I can't leave him there alone. He needs feeding." I take a deep breath. "Everything will be okay." He's still frowning. "The minute you stood up the highway, you'll have to get a taxi. Are you sure you'll be okay?" "Don't worry, Jay. I'll be fine." No. It's gone. Chapter 11. Ooh, it's gone. 7:30 p.m. by the time the taxi drops me off outside the highway. I pay the driver, then climb out of the car, my heart sinking as I stare at the house, dark and unwelcoming. I think of the basement, with its animal skins and surgical implants, and I shudder. I'm not helping myself with my gruesome thoughts. The house isn't threatening. It's safe. Sierra wouldn't live here otherwise, I tell myself. It's obvious she likes the best things in life, the little luxuries. As I step into the driveway, the scenery lights flash on. momentarily bleaching the surroundings. From the corner of my eye, I can see something hanging from the nearest tree. Something bone white and sinister. I cry out. Are you alright, love? The driver calls as I stand rooted to the spot. His window is wound down, his arm leaning against the frame, his sleeve rolled up so I can see the long dark hair sprouted out pale fresh. I run over to the car and point to the tree with a trembling finger. Look! That up there. What is it? It resembles a disfigured skull. Its jaw hideously jutted out as if it had died screaming. He squirts. He has a kind face. The sort of face my grandfather might have had if I ever known him. Laughs the lines in a gray, bristly beard. Looks like a sheep's skull to me, love. He sounds unprescribed, as if he encounters animal skulls hanging from trees on a regular basis. I'm sure it wasn't there earlier, I said, my throat dry. I would have noticed it, surely. He shrugs. It looks like it's been there quite a while. Quite weathered, ain't it? He grins and then wounds his window up. I want to beg him not to leave me alone, but I still myself. I'm being paranoid again. The skull has most probably been there for years. It doesn't mean anything. I watch as the taxi drives off, its tail lights winking in the dark night until it rounds the corner out of sight. I shiver as I realize I'm totally alone, with just the crashing waves and the desolate beach for company. And Ziggy, I remind myself. At least I got the dog. I can't get into the house quick enough. I fumble with the keys in my eagerness to insert it into the lock. I push the door open, Ziggy bounds toward me, nearly knocking me off my feet. I clap twice to turn the lights on, feeling silly, but I can't remember where Jamie put the remote. The lights flood on overhead, making me feel secure, even though the house still has that lonely air about it. Can I really stay here on my own all night? I bend down to hug Ziggy, my mind whirling. What if I paid to stay in a hotel? But could I take Ziggy? I can't leave him alone. He pushes his notes into me, his way of telling me he's hungry. The house is cold and it feels so quiet, so I switch the television on to have some background noise. I concentrate on giving Ziggy his dinner. I'm too scared to take him for a walk at this time of night. That's usually Jamie's job. So I let him to the garden and sip a mug of tea while he darts across the lawn, setting off the security lights, which just emphasize the darkness of the boundaries. The shrubs and the hedges where somebody might be hiding. When Ziggy is back in again, I make sure to double lock the doors. I wish not for the first time that the Haywoods have curtains. I hate the thought that I can't see out of those huge windows, but someone might be able to be outside looking in, watching me. Maybe the man from Lizard Point, like that weird Jim creeping out. I remember our conversation earlier about the Haywoods not having a daughter. Why would he say such a thing? In all the worry over Jamie, I didn't have a chance to talk to him about it. To take my mind off the fact that I'm alone in the house, I started to dial his number. Then, realizing all the confusion, we left his phone behind. I went upstairs to get it and to see if it needs charging. A lump forms in my throat as I glance at the bed, at the sheets all twisted into knots. The dip in the mattress where Jamie's body was, I sit on the edge of the bed and touch the sheets. Still damp from sweat. My eyes fill with tears, but I shake them away. I have no time for self-pity. Jamie will be fine. It's just one night on my own, and I wouldn't think twice about it in Bath. I have to, as Jamie would say, grow up here. I pick up his phone from the bedside cabinet. There is a message from Hannah. I've been thinking about it. I know you won't tell anyone, but can we talk? Oh, what does it say? Fuck that, we gotta open this message, girl. We got to. I'm tempted to open to see the remainder of the message. My finger hovers indecisively over the text. I trust him. I have to. Unfortunately for me, Hannah is part of our lives. I don't particularly like her, but she wormed her way in with the family. She's not going anywhere. So I have to live with it. And if I open it, he'll be able to tell, and he'll think I'm even more paranoid and neurotic than he already does. I don't want to be one of those wives who's always checking up on her husband, constantly suspicious. My mom was like that with my dad. Never trusting him. I always worried he was out drinking instead of working. Constantly checking his pockets for receipts. I saw how unhappy it made her. Had the doubt and suspicion aged her. And now I'm the doubtful and suspicious one. The nagging worry about the man in Lizard Point is suddenly back. Was it him we saw yesterday? Did he follow us? His camera was angled at Jamie, I'm sure of it. Could he have been paid to take photos of us? But why? Again, I wonder if he's a private detective. He didn't seem interested in me, though. He definitely seemed focused on Jamie. Although, what if it is about me? The tears come out of nowhere, so I'm rocked by them. My shoulders heaving. I'm not even sure what I'm crying about. Jamie, the miscarriage, or the other pregnancy a lifetime ago. I cradle my stomach. The loss is so acute, it's painful. Ziggy jumps up onto the bed and sits silently beside me in comfort. I wipe away the tears and stare down at the phone in my hand. My eyes focus on the words, I know you won't tell anyone. What does she mean? What is she asking Jamie to keep from me? Hannah being our lives sometimes unsettled me. That's true. The way she studies Jamie when she thinks nobody's watching, her face full of longing. It irks me how she uses him as a sounding board, how she acts like she's the daughter-in-law instead of me. Sometimes when I look at her blonde hair or her tall, wide shoulder frame, so different from my small, bony, petite body, I wonder what their sex life was like. Where do you think he prefers her figure? Her larger breasts, her longer legs. I don't have these thoughts, and on the whole, I don't let my mind go there. I know you won't tell anyone. Why are they keeping from me? Maybe it's something to do with my 30th birthday in June, or surprise for Sylvia. It doesn't have to mean something other hand, does it? It doesn't have to mean they're having an affair. I push a text from my mind. I'll try and get it out of Jamie tomorrow. If he has nothing to hide, then he'll tell me, won't he? Unless he has got something to hide. I slap my palm against my forehead. Stop it, stop it, I tell my brain. I have to think the best of Jamie. He likes women, it's true. He's comfortable with them, having 2 sisters. But it doesn't mean he'll cheat on me. Especially not with an ex-girlfriend. He was the one who ended things with her all those years ago, after all, not the other way around. I consider calling Sylvia to let her know that Jamie's in the hospital. I go as far as strolling to her name, but something stops me. She's so overprotective about her son that she'll only worry unnecessarily. Jamie's going to be fine. Yep, no need to tell her mom, her son was in the hospital. Oh, yes, we gonna get right after this chapter, right here. I'm in the kitchen making myself a cup of tea when I hear a loud crash from above. I freeze. What's that? Ziggy's ears prick up and he jumps from the floor. There's someone upstairs. My mouth is dry and my heart knocks against my chest. I feel panicked, uncertain. What do? I frantically search around for something, anything that I can use as a weapon. My eyes fall on the purple poker by the fireplace in the living room. It's shiny, not that heavy. More for show than anything else, but I reach for it anyway. Feeling more protected just having it in my hand. I creep up the stairs, Ziggy at my heels, all the while terrified of what I found when I get to the top. There is a shrieking sound coming from inside the smallest bedroom. I stand at the door and push it open tentatively. Ziggy, I hiss. He turns to me and whines. My chest hurts when my heart is pounding so much. I incline my head and Ziggy wanders in first. I peer around the door frame tentatively. In the middle of the room next to the sofa is an old-fashioned toy clown rolling around on a wooded floor, crackling as though it's alive. It's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen, eyes mad and staring. Mouth gruesome large, nose hooked through like a witch. It must have fallen from the shelf and set itself off. How? The noise travels right through me. I find clowns repulsive and always refuse to watch Punch and Judy shows as a child. I drop the poker and suppressing my revulsion, pick up the toy, trying not to panic as it continues crackling. I frantically try to find the off switch and manage to locate it at the back of his neck. Relief coursing through me as the noise stopped, like a baby who has fallen asleep after a bout of screaming. I notice that one of his pointed ears has cracked and fallen, and I feel bad for that little girl that the hideous toy is damaged. They don't have no little girl, so stop saying that. I'll probably back up on the shelf and turn to leave the room when something in my peripheral vision makes me start. Curled up next to a fluffy pink unicorn is a chocolate brown pedestrian cat, its eyes firmly closed despite the commotion. It's not, that got some stuffed cat. I tiptoe over it, my hand held out in front of me. Hello, puss, I say gently. What is it doing here? Philip never mentioned the cat. We've been here for nearly 5 days and we haven't noticed it before. The cat doesn't flinch. I perch next to it to stroke it. I recoil. It feels cold and hard underneath my fingers. Of course the thing is stuffed, but it looks so real. Had it been their old cat? Why hadn't I noticed it before? That's my question. I carry the poker to bed. The weight of Jamie's absence is pressing down on me, as though a physical weight. I feel so lonely, so vulnerable staying here by myself. Fanning the clown, and then the clock was a shot. And afterwards I had to run to the toilet to be sick. Now as I lay in the bed, I feel miserable and worried that I'm also got food poisoning, even though I didn't touch the sausages. I toss and turn, my heart racing every time the security light comes on outside, worrying that there might be someone skulking around the garden, waiting for the opportunity to break in and murder me in my bed. I can hear something banging in the wind, and I'm reminded of Jamie's sinister story of the lighthouse. The coffin knocking against the glass. I pull the duvet farther over my head like I'm a child hiding from the monster under the bed. I shiver every time I think about the clown and all the ugly toys in the smallest bedroom. What a strange choice for a child. But surely it means they do have a daughter, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. You think you gonna make that? She is determined to make them have a child. And I feel like it's only right for me to be stopping in the middle of a chapter now. Now I feel like it's only right for me to stop in the middle of a chapter due to the fact that I'm speed reading. So, chapter 12, going on. I eventually fall asleep sometime in the early hours of the morning. I don't wake up till 10:30 a.m., tired and muddy-headed. Even with a broken arm, I wouldn't want to drive to Minnie, so I booked a taxi for 11:15, then jumped into the shower, hoping it would revive me. As I'm drying myself, I remember the cupboard under the sink and a wash bag that I've seen interrupted from noising through by Jamie. Gathering a towel underneath my armpits, I bend and open the cupboard, feeling a twinge of guilt for snooping. That's what anyone would do, I tell myself. I'm just trying to find out more about the Haywoods. After all, they've been staying in our flat too. It's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? So I want to know more about the people who have been living in your home. I pull the wash bag from the back of the cupboard and it falls to the tilted floor, spilling its contents everywhere. I'm disappointed to see nothing more interesting than Chantel lipsticks, tissues, and a broken makeup brush. Damn it. I began picking through the debris and I'm just about to stuff everything back into the bag when I noticed a strip of little white pills nestled between my eyeshadow case and a makeup sponge. I peer it more closely, squinting as I read the back. Antidepressants. They must be Tiara's. I replace them. A mixture of guilt and sadness tugging away at me as I push the bag to the back of the cupboard. Tara's depressed. The realization hits me hard. Her life from my view seems so wonderful, so privileged. I should known by now that nothing is perfect, despite how it might appear from the outside. I'm struggling into my jeans and the baggy cardigan when the taxi arrives. I gather from clean clothes for Jaxie and then dart through the pelting rain to the waiting taxi. My feet wet inside my ballet pumps. Just as I'm about to get in, I see Jim standing by our gate, his arm folded on top of his walking stick, an absence look on his weathered face. Fury cutter inside me. I hold my hand up to the taxi driver, indicating for him to wait, and then storm over to Jim. What are you doing here? I hiss. What did I tell you yesterday? He hurts his nerves, replying defensively. I don't take instructions from you. Philip has left this place out to me, and I'm telling you to get lost. If you're here when I get back, then I'm calling the police. He straightens up, pushing his shoulders back and jutting his chin out. I'm not scared of you. You shouldn't be here. I don't know what makes me do it. Lack of sleep, frustrating hormones, but maybe it's the stress of spending last night in a state of high alert. But propelled by a sort of adrenaline, I prod him hard in the chest, throwing him off balance so that he falls back into the gate. Don't fucking mess with me, I spit. I had enough of all this shit, alright? And then I turned and flounced off to the waiting taxi. Okay, and that's what we're gonna leave that at right there. She just pushed the old man, but you know, she ain't been liking how he be coming at her.